Hello, everyone. Hello from the Garden of the Sun. Today I'm here to share with you what I'm working on and also to talk about what's going on in the Sahel region. Speaking of Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. So first, here we go. So you see, I have this one earring here already completed. And I'm gonna complete the second one here now. So what I have to do, what's left here, as you can see, is to continue. I have 2 more dangles to add. These last 2 that are here on the end, they need to be added here. So I'm already set up to get that done. I have my thread coming out of this second to last bead right here. But also, if you can see how I have this open triangle slot here, I'm also going to complete it by adding this Swarovski in there with 2 Delica beads. Well, actually there are 3. And I'm going to complete the hook. Put the ear hook on it, which I have right here. Okay, so I'm gonna work on that while I speak with you all. And so, what's going on in the Sahel? Oh, come on. Where's my camera? Is it, how is it? Aha, there we go. So, I was upside down. Well, you know, what's actually going on actually brings me to tears. It's tears of joy, but also the sadness is still there because I know that it is just the beginning. It's just the start of what has to be done. And so right now we see the face of Ibrahim Traoré, the president of Burkina Faso, but he's not alone, right? He's doing this. What he's doing, basically, it appears that all of a sudden, he has awakened the continent of Africa. And of course, it's affecting us here in America. We support what is going on. So many of us know that we are affected deeply by the imperialists, as Traoré calls them. And he's right. Imperialism has impacted the whole world. And it happened for a reason. In alignment with divine order, this happened. However, as we know, what goes up must come down, right? And so it is time for the melanated people of the world, the indigenous people, the owners of the lands that have been colonized via global imperialism, to reclaim what is rightfully ours, right? And so that's what you see going on without apology. So yes, I am working on what I'm making here, and I actually have to look very closely to see. There's 2 colors here that are very similar, so they blend together. So I'm trying to make sure that I can actually see the right color that needs to go here. So bear with me. I'm speaking and I'm working at the same time. And hopefully I can complete this during this time so I can show you the finished product. So back to what I was saying. We here in America, we want our lands back, our dignity. We want what was stolen from us as well, during the period of colonialism. So when we hear what Traore is saying, it touches our hearts deeply as well. And we fully support. In fact, me personally, coming from the Hebrew Israelite community, when I was in Burkina Faso a few months back, just at the end of last year, my mom was there. She had come with one of her best friends, so who is like an aunt to me. And she was telling me that our Hebrew community definitely stood in solidarity back in the 80s with Thomas Sankara. And we sent a representative from our community to speak with Thomas Sankara's government to acknowledge that we stand in solidarity with them. And now here we go 40 years later. Back then, we were in a huge time of revolution in Africa and here in the United States. That is sort of what drove the Hebrews from here in the United States to go back to Africa, which most people don't consider Israel to be Africa. But when we were going there, we knew that we were returning to Northeast Africa, or at least that is how it is portrayed, because I heard Dr. Mumbi from Kenya bring something forward that we have known as well, how the maps of the earth have been distorted, turned different ways upside down. So what is north is actually south, what is south is actually west. And Dr. Mumbi touched on something, saying that, is it possible that what we call West Africa is actually East Africa? Because it was said that the sort of awakening of the world would begin in East Africa, and we see it happening in what they call today West Africa, which could very well be East Africa. So what we see going on in the Sahel region, led by the three presidents of the Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, is amazing. And we definitely want to see this continue, because the revolutions that began in the 60s, 70s, and 80s were for the most part neutralized, right? We know that Thomas Sankara was killed. We know people like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and many of our revolutionaries, because actually my father is a Pan-Africanist. He was part of that movement, and he shared a lot of stories with me, and that's why I have that spirit of revolution deep within me. But it's not just about revolution, it's about an awareness that what rightfully belonged to us was stolen and taken by force. However, I don't want to speak from the perspective of a victim, because like I said, according to nature, what goes up must come down. And so at one time, the melanated people of the world were on the top. We had our time, and then we sort of fell, if you will, in alignment with the cycles and the rhythms in nature. And now at this time, it is time for us to rise again. And that is what's happening. Like I said, unapologetically. The things that Ibrahim Traore is saying is what's been in my heart for my entire life, for the most part. My father spoke to me all my life, and still does, about our own family lands here in the United States, that have been stolen. And so that brings up the point that, yes, during the colonial period and during the sort of slave trade, certain things happened where a lot of the indigenous people of America joined with those few who were brought over from Africa, right? And so we connected so much so that now it's hard to tell us apart. But not all of us are exactly African or even have connections with Africa, because there were so few Africans brought over relative to the amount of people, indigenous people, who are already here and who are still here. I hope that makes sense to you all. So the revolution that is happening again, recurring, is now the divine time. Now we have all of the support of the universe and the rhythms in nature to actually bring this to its conclusion. And I love what Ibrahim Traore, I have to say it in the American accent so you all know who I'm talking about, but it's hard for me to say Ibrahim Traore because it's so not how it's pronounced. So he's talking about returning things that were stolen. He's talking about the biggest key is that we are not attempting to rise up and overpower. We want to work together as allies. We want unity, we want harmony, but we want equality in the sense of fairness. We want to be able to negotiate and do business on equal terms, on equal standings. We don't want our resources from our lands to continue to be looted and plundered, and we don't even get paid for what they're stealing and what they're taking from our lands and from us. We work for it, but we don't get paid for it. So it's just plundering. Actually, it's a lot deeper than what I'm able to go into right now, because I thought I would be able to speak and work at the same time, but that's actually not happening. Because when I'm doing this work, especially this specific type of work, I have to focus. I need to be able to count the beads that I'm putting on, so that's interrupting my flow. However, the whole point is that I'm so happy, and I've been going to Burkina Faso for almost 18 years at this point. I conceived my first son. He's my second child that I gave birth to, but he's the first son of my marriage. And I conceived him there in Burkina Faso. And so I've been going there for almost 18 years now. And I've seen the change. I've seen the growth. I've seen the growth. I even sort of had a vision. I saw that Burkina Faso would rise. I saw, especially when we go into the astrology of things, when Uranus went into Taurus 7 years ago, I was like, oh, that's going to bring revolution to this country, because Burkina Faso is a Taurus rising. So Uranus went on to its ascendant, affecting all aspects of life in Burkina Faso. And so who knew? I was there the year that President Traore became president. I was there when the coup that happened before the coup that he orchestrated and led to become president. There was a coup that same year. I was there during that coup. And I saw how, supposedly the government was restructuring. They were talking about the laws and the Constitution and everything. And, there was sort of like a optimistic feeling. But shortly thereafter, everyone realized that new president, Damiba, who came in, was just another puppet for the imperialists. And so Traore decided enough is enough. And he came and he did what he's doing as a powerful leader who has no fear, however, who also knew that he had support from Niger and Mali as well. Right? They're not speaking as much about Goita and the president from Mali. They're not speaking, it's not as publicly talked about, but they are unified, right? These three countries, if you will, in Africa there. And so I was there one year, and I could see the wealth in the land and everything, and then the stark contrast of the energy of the people. And I said, if it wasn't for colonialism, yes, the people in this land would be people of integrity, as the name of the country Burkina Faso means. People of integrity, people of upright people, right? If they weren't being looted and robbed and colonized, that land would be amazing as it is. The land is wealthy, just like our land here. We just can't see how wealthy our land is because everything is paved over. As opposed to there, you can actually see it because when you walk around, you see the trees bearing fruits and the animals and everything, the richness of the land. That's where wealth comes from, the resources of the land, right? And so it's there. And how should, like eBay saying, the people be starving when all the wealth is actually right there and it belongs to them? So yes, it's time for huge change, and that is what's happening. And what I'm looking forward to is to continue to be part of it, support it, and see that actually that spirit, that energy coming to America. Like I said, it's here, but it's a different type of colonialism that happened here in America. So it's harder for people to just rise up because the government structure is different. Our government is completely, basically dominated by foreigners. We don't have necessarily people from our own nations because we have sort of been made extinct through the pen, not through reality. We're all still here. All of our indigenous nations, 450 of them, we're all still here. It's just that we don't know who we are and what we're connected anymore to, because there was a mass sort of scandal put forward to get us all to think that we're all here from Africa. And so if we're all here from Africa, the only way to reclaim what is rightfully ours is to figure out who we're connected to in Africa and then go back there, and thusly abandoning America and leaving it to the imperialists. But that's not going to happen, not on my watch. Not on my watch. So again, I'm happy, but at the same time, it brings a sort of sadness as well, because I want to see it on much more of a mass scale happening. I want to see all over Africa because, like I said, I've been going there 18 years. I've talked to the people, and most of the people are just desperate to leave Africa. And even that hurts me. I'm like, look at your land. Look at what you have. Do you think it's much better? It's going to be better for you in the countries where your colonizers came from? Why don't you stay and really focus on getting what is rightfully yours back? But again, I know that all of it happened in divine order. But it doesn't take away how we feel. And we feeling that way is for a reason too, because if we completely accepted imperialism, then we would never seek to reclaim what is rightfully ours, right? So that's why we have that pain in our heart, knowing that we walk around on our own land in America and in Africa, and we exist here as if we have nothing, as if we are stateless, countryless, we don't own anything. That is a very painful thing to have to live with. So, however it's going to play out for us here in America is going to be slightly different, but you just wait and see. It's going to happen. So, coming back to my beadwork here, I barely got anything done because I'm speaking and not able to focus on both. So what I'm going to do is end the video and continue working on it, or perhaps I can just show you what I'm doing. Do you know that even though I've developed so much patience, which was crucial for me, I had to be so patient to endure everything that I was just speaking about, to include the fact that we have been sort of turned against one another as well during this whole imperial epoch or age. If we were united, it wouldn't be able to work, right? So we had to appear to be enemies amongst ourselves, and that's how it was easier for power to be held over us, because we weren't even together. Maybe living together in the same squalor, but not actually in harmony in our hearts. So I've had to live with that and endure that, and doing this beadwork has helped me to really develop the patience of a saint while waiting, if you will, for that time, which is here now. However, I still have to continue to develop my patience, because when I'm trying to show you all the work that I'm doing, I feel like I don't have the patience required to just sit here and let you all see how much time it takes me to get these outcomes that I get. So that is something that I have to work on, and it also has to do with sort of the fast pace of society right now that dictates that, oh, if you're not working fast enough, or if the video is not moving fast enough, then people aren't gonna watch it and stuff like that. So basically, I know that that does not matter. What matters is, it matters to those who actually are interested, the ones who will take the time to listen, watch, and learn, because people will. The ones who it's for, and it does not have to be edited and have all this fancy stuff going on, because it's about the message. This is not necessarily for entertainment purposes. It's for educational purposes. And so whoever this is for, it will reach. And so now it's on me to develop more patience and be okay with the time that it takes to show you how much time it takes for me to get this stuff done. Ironic, right? Ironic. And then the other part is how much time it takes to upload it. So look, all that time, I have one dangle done. I want this dangle to be just above, just shorter than the one next to it. Just like one bead shorter. So we'll leave it like that. That's good. And now skip one bead. Don't go into this bead. I'm not going to go into that one because that's the one that holds it all together. But then I'm going to go through all of these beads that I just put on. I'm going to go through all of them and then come out through the next bead. I'll show you in just a moment. Let me get through all of these beads. Okay, see, I'm there. Make sure it's pulled tight, no visible threads, and then go out through, see, this next bead, which is the last one here on this row, and go ahead and add the last beads to create this dangle. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. 5 of this kind of pink color. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of this sort of, this is like a bronze color. Let me see what it's called. Oh yeah, I don't have it on here to show you. It's that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I was saying that uploading this also requires patience, and it takes time to get it uploaded to you all. So that's just what it is. That's what's entailed in this work. And those who it's for, like I said, will thoroughly appreciate me taking my time to do this. So I want to know, what are your thoughts on what's going on in the Sahel in West Africa there? What comes up for you all when you hear about what's happening in Burkina Faso? And for me, a lot comes up. It's amazing how my life has guided me on a certain path. And now we're here today. I've been struggling, if you will, to really understand the full picture. You see, my father, he's the one who really put that spirit in me. He told me that he has a relative who told him that he came here, that he actually remembers coming to America from East Africa. But on my mother's side, we don't know anything about Africa, and what I was told on my mother's side is that we are the indigenous Indians. We are the ones, we are part of the nations who were already here. You see? So my heart is connected to both Africa and America, and in fact, the whole entire earth. I love the whole entire earth. I love all of life. But what's connected most specifically to me right now is what belongs to me directly from my most immediate of ancestors, from the past few generations that came before me, like not few, several, up to 10, up to 20 generations before me. Ah, voila, I got it done. I have all of the dangles on there, and you see this is 4 to create this upper part here. So in the end, what I'm gonna do with this thread right here, I'm gonna go back into these beads and go down into the dangles with this extra thread, which actually, as you know, as I always say, it reinforces the work and secures it so that it'll be sturdy and it'll last for a long time. So now, here we go. We're coming up here and we're gonna do this. So I started doing closing my earrings in this way. It's just a new little idea and a way that I can finish off the top part. So I'm picking up 3 of these light blue delicas, and then I'm picking up a Swarovski, and then another 3 of these light blue delicas, just like that. And I'm coming out of this side, so I'm gonna go down into this side, and then I'm gonna go back up into these beads that I just added. Here we go, reinforcing everything. And I'm gonna do that multiple times. But first, I'm just gonna show you how I actually complete it. So I've already gone through twice, and now this is my 3rd time. So I'm gonna go into this Swarovski here in the middle, and now I can put the ear hook on. I'm gonna do that by adding, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I put 8 of these to create the closure. So I have that, put it through the hook, and then go back through the Swarovski and all the beads. Here we go. Got through all the beads. The hook is on, it's secure, it's there. Go through it as many times as I like, or when you're doing it, as many times as you like until you feel that it's secure. Okay, and now you see something is missing, right? You see this open space right here beside the Swarovski. Here, you see I have these green beads there. So that's what we're gonna add right now. And then it fills the space between the top and the bottom of the Swarovski. And it also gives me the perfect opportunity to go back through the beads to reinforce it more how I want to. Okay, so I'm gonna go down through 3 of these beads. That way I can go straight up on an angle to get through, to get up to go through these beads again. And here I'm back where I started. So I'm picking up and I'm adding that green bead. Now I'm going up through the last portion of this earring that allows me to put the hook on. And that part is complete at this point. Everything is very well secured. And now I need to get back to the open triangle here in the center here so that I can add my beads there. So what I'm gonna do is just keep weaving down through the beads until I end up right here in the middle of this circle. And then at that point, the middle of this triangle. At that point, all I have to do is add on the beads that I need and reinforce them. So here we go. I'm just there. I'm just there. So in order to add the beads in the triangle, what I did was I picked up one of these green size 11 delicas. I picked up one 4mm Swarovski and then two more 11 seed beads or delica beads, and I'm gonna go down through the center but at the bottom of this triangle. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna go back up and go through the beads that I've just added. I'm playing some music that comes from, I believe this music comes from Niger, Sahelian music. Okay, so we have it in, but in fact, I don't like how it's positioning. So I'm gonna take it out and I'm going to take off one of the extra 11 seed beads that I put there so that the Swarovski can fit very, very well into this sort of window, this triangle window. So I'm taking off one of those beads. Let's see how that looks now. There we go. It fits much better now. So that's it for today in terms of what I'm working on. Let's see. Look at all of that. I hope the rest of this day goes well for everyone. And I'll be talking to you all again soon. To close out for today, all I want to say is that we support the Sahel, we support all of Africa, we support ourselves here in America too, and I just want to encourage everyone to release outdated ideas about who you are, your place in the world, what rightfully belongs to you, what does not. Release imperialistic ideas and let us collaborate in order to continue bringing in our new age, our new golden age. That's really what this is all about, right? And that's what I'm here for, to support exactly that. Much love and many blessings. And until we speak again.